This is a tutorial about how to set up a site definition in Dreamweaver. If you are using web pages, you can use the file menu to create new web pages or open existing pages. But the best thing to do is when you're working with a website is to create what's called a site definition over here in the file panel over in the bottom right hand corner. So on page 1-22 in the chapter 1, it talks about clicking on this down arrow here, and I'm going to pick my H drive, which is my flash drive. On my H drive I have a folder called ITD210, which I've asked the students to create to save all of their folders and exercises for this class. I want to click on ITD210 to create a folder underneath it. I can create folders and files, and there's several ways of creating this. If I click on this icon over here, it says I can click on File. I can do a new file or a new folder here. Also, you can right click on a folder and say new file or a new folder. So I'm going to click on new folder, and I'm going to type in striped underscore umbrella and hit enter. This will create a folder under my ITD210. Just a reminder that for this class I've asked all the students to name all their folders and files in lowercase and no spaces. This way we don't have to worry about what server we're copying our files to. You can make this area a little bigger so that you can see the entire folder. You also have a size column, which a folder doesn't have a size but files will. Then we have a type, and we know that these two are folders, and then we have a date that we can look at if we need to. So we have just created a folder that was on page 122 and 1-23. On page 1-24 is the important part of defining a website. Now there's a few ways of creating a website, but here we have a Manage Site button, and up here we have a Site pull-down menu. The book wants us to use the Site menu to create a new site, but you'll also see Manage Sites there, in which that you could create a new site using that dialog box. But let's click on New Site as the book wants us to do. And in this first area here, we are looking at the Advanced tab. There's also a Basic tab in which that we could type in the name of our site here, but it wants us to click on Advanced and type in the striped umbrella. This you will see will also appear underneath Basic. So if I click on Basic, you'll see the striped umbrella there. I'm going to click back on Advanced. Another thing that it wants us to do is to identify the local root folder. So I'm going to click on this icon to find the folder, and I just want to make sure that it's looking in the right place. Make sure that you're looking at your flash disk, and then double click on ITD210, and then double click on striped umbrella, so that it will select that folder for my area that I'm going to save all of my files. I'm going to click Select. Another thing that we could do underneath the local information category is that we could put in the default image folder, but we haven't created that as yet. We're going to create a folder called Assets to keep all of our images. We're going to leave that blank for now. But on page 1-24 it does ask us to make sure that this is selected here, links relative to document, and down here that the Enable Cache button is checked. Also underneath on page 1-25 you'll see Remote Info. Right now it says None. And later on, or if you want to do it now, we can type in information about our FTP. The FTP host, the host directory, and the login, and the password. You could put that information in now, in which that we could go ahead and type in the host name, WCC's web page. But I think we'll save this until we get into our ePortfolio, our final project, and then we'll put in information for the IST server. So for now we're just going to put none in there, and we're going to go ahead and say OK. Now what we see in the bottom right hand corner is the site umbrella. If I want to edit this, there's a couple of ways of editing it. My easiest way is to double click on it, and you'll see that the basic and the advanced screens come back up again. I'm going to hit cancel. Another way to edit it is if you go into Site and Manage Sites, you can see that your striped umbrella is right here, and that I could edit it by clicking on the edit button, and I can get back into basic and advanced. And then click on done to get out of Manage Sites. Okay, so I have created our site definition for striped umbrellas, and you'll be doing the same thing for the skills review called Blooms and Bulbs. This concludes the tutorial on creating a site definition and adding a folder in Dreamweaver.